Murthy, and I'm a filmmaker. I make non-fiction video, and recently I've also been a comics writer. So I'm working on a book-length comic right now. So these are my twin careers.
What's the comic book called?
It's called Travels Among Mangakas in Japan.
Okay. To kind of jump to the film that you did before this, a film called Mysore Madige. Exactly how did that idea come about? Why did you pick on Mysore Madige as a topic for your film? What was so fascinating or different about it?
Uh, it actually came about because I saw the film when I was in film school in Calcutta, and that was during the first year in 2001. But by then, the event of Mysore Malige, the film itself, happened I think around the same time, and quickly it spread among student communities all over the country, and there were video copies just proliferating, and someone one day just got this new CD. Okay, let's watch porn for a change. in the in fact in the auditorium where they show all the art movies. So we watched this one night, and it I was immediately struck by the directness of the images. Uh, it for the first time I had seen uh, an Indian couple having sex in that kind of detail and in that kind of reality. A new image appeared which had not been there till then. I had not seen any of. Of course, we had seen the commercial Kerala pornography, which is fiction, and they don't really show the hardcore sex. First of all, this was something different. This was actually a couple in love with each other, and that was apparent in the way the film was made. And I thought, and this is also another. It might be just a luck thing. So the film was actually edited very well, and it had a sort of a build up and a climax to it, and uh, it made me want to investigate. It made me want to know who the person is. That was the first reaction, and that I found that was the first reaction of every other person who watched the film. And later, I realized that this is that the film had built a legend around itself, an urban legend around itself. It was because of the way it was made, and because of the kind of people that were involved in it. Suddenly, you want to know the names of the people. You generally watch pornography and you don't want to know about that person having sex. It's a character. It's just the sex that you're interested in. But here you wanted to know who these people are. Um that was very intriguing, and so I tried to find out a little bit, and I said this would be a good idea uh, to make it in the form of a documentary, because I wanted to talk to people about their reactions and what they felt about the thing. And then later it became uh, also a kinky search for that room itself where the thing happened. So eventually we ended up there. So that's how it was.
So you found that room.
Yeah, we did. Uh, the funny thing about my experience of this film was that it eventually ended up in different versions. What happened was the first film I made, a half an hour film about it, was for PSBT, which is Public Service Broadcasting Trust, and uh, I just sent a proposal, and I was surprised that they accepted it. was about pornography and all these things. And then when I made the film, they were shocked and they rejected the film completely because I had done some very strange things. I'd included uh, a shot of me and my girlfriend kissing in the film, and it was like an extreme close up of the mouth and stuff. And on that, there's some text, and I did a lot of weird things in it, along with footage of that original couple, placing myself in their position. I was interviewing my girlfriend, she was interviewing me. So we made it almost like a home video, of course, just without the porn, without the sex, but it's like suggesting so many things. Uh, so that version was rejected. Then I cleaned it up and made a version that could be shown on Doordarshan, and that was one version. So that was the second version. Then the Japan Broadcasting Corporation, there was a documentary forum in our film school in Calcutta, and so I wanted to investigate this thing further because the first film was just about people's reactions and things like that. So I wanted to know more about people, the couple involved in the film and everything. So I suggested a project. I pitched a project, and the Japan Broadcasting Corporation was interested in it, and so another film emerged. Uh, and that was the film where we actually where we found the room. And in this film there was another girl who had seen Mysore Malike, and we follow her a little bit in Bangalore. And she's not a Kannadiga, but a Punjabi girl working in Bangalore, and she sort of becomes a proxy for the character in the original Mysore Malike. So it's like that the characters of that original film are were kind of replicating, or it was sort of uh, mutating into these other people. That was very interesting what happened with that. And yeah, towards the end of the film we go to that hotel where it happened, and everything is exposed, and what actually happened is the urban legend is basically killed. So we get to know exactly what happened with the couple. They were forced to get married in the police station by the moral police, the journalists and everything. Everybody came, and the the after the marriage, the guy went abroad for studies. The girl remained in Mysore. I think no, in Bangalore. She started working somewhere, and eventually they separated. But I don't know if they're divorced, but they separated. So I asked the journalist in Bangalore who had actually covered this thing in the beginning, that he had the contact of the girl. So I asked him, can we meet the girl, or should I meet the girl? So he said that his reply was that it's already like a rape for her, and so doing it again. So again, if you're filming her, it'll be again like that. So it's better not to. So he said that on camera. So we kept that, and we didn't meet the girl. We didn't meet any original, but that made sense in a way because the it was not about those characters in that original film had now mutated into the real world, and it even proliferated into other exhibitionist videos of and these MMS clips of couples having sex. And then after Mysore Malike there was a Calcutta thing, and there was a Delhi porn, and there was each place had its own sort of its own scene. It started kind of becoming like that. So And then after this version, the Japan version, there was yet another version which included the original footage, because we were asked to not to keep the original footage of the film. So it's become like that. It became a sort of a work in progress kind of thing. Yeah.
I think I've seen either the first version. I think I've seen the first version, but
Uh,
not the third version that you're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, you haven't seen that.
No.
Yes, yes.
Okay. That's fascinating. Anyway, um, so so I just to kind of in your film you do encounter, at least the one that I've seen, and I don't know about the others, but you encounter various different reactions that people have to
Yeah, yeah,
pornography.
yeah.
So, how did that? And you incorporated a lot of them. But can you just describe the kind of stuff? What happens when you say pornography in a way? It's kind of a problem that even I faced at times trying to do the film that we're doing.
Mm.
But just to hear from you, what's the reaction that you get from some people? Is it just a kind of push away, or is it? What are the different things that happen?
Mm. Uh, Most of the people I spoke to uh, were students, and it is to be expected that students are a little more open about it. And what I was looking for really was the kind of uh, fantasy that that the viewers build around this thing. What is the fascination with this particular thing, this particular video? And because it had created a lot of fantasies around uh, about who these girls are. In fact, on the internet, there were even people saying that this girl is a Lahori from Lahore, and the guy is from some other place, Karachi, and then they had love. This full they made it into a Pakistani thing, and people saying they're from different places. That each one put their own story into it. They put themselves into the whoever was watching the film is putting themselves in that situation. And uh, so when you say so when I said, I intended to use the word pornography all the time. It's like a porn movie. So you're watching a porn film, and I wanted that on camera. So when I played the film for them and I filmed that, uh, initially they were not so comfortable, I could say, because they didn't want they they didn't want to exactly expose their interest in watching porn. But it becomes a sort of a power game. It becomes like who is cooler, you know. So it's as a filmmaker, it's me pushing them into a position. So I mean, you can't even do this. It's like it's uh, your you're pushing them into a corner. So I did that in a way to get people to respond. So even with the girl in Bangalore, there were quite a few people who initially didn't want to talk, and we kept looking for somebody who would want to speak about it on camera. And it was quite surprising that a lot of people didn't want to be on camera about this. And eventually, the girl we met uh, she, she was interesting because she was acting it out. I mean, she was becoming another person in front of the camera when she's talking about it. So she created a whole new persona for herself to speak about, her watching porn and her friends and all that stuff. So that was interesting because it is not what she actually is, but then it's what she perceives herself to be, and if that is on camera, then there's something. So just like that.
There's this, as you were also mentioning, there's now this fascination with what might be real, or you know, this MMS is real. Mysore Mandige is about real people, and as you said, there was the spawning with the DPS MMS clip and the various other videos that leaked around that time. How do you react to that? What do you think about that
Why?
phenomenon?
Uh, uh, what I felt was I can only say this from from my personal viewing of those clips and images. And what was attracting me to those kind of pornographic clips, I still watch them. In fact, there's a there's a website called Debonair Blog, and every day you have new clips of amateur sex, Indians, all kinds of Indians engaging in amateur sex and posting pictures or videos, mostly taken from the mobile cameras. Uh, what I felt watching them was that that I suddenly realized that we didn't really have a reality till now in terms of images. There was nothing, there was no image that could be said to be real. There were images that were from the movies, which is Bollywood, and the Hindi film industry, which is of a certain type. It's another world. It's absolutely a different world. It's nothing to do with the the real world that we live in. And there were images that were on TV, which were uh, news, and that was it. News, when people, as a reporter going and interviewing someone, that was the only bit of reality that we got to see. In fact, that was the case until now, until these pornographic videos came up. And that was like a strange revelation for me. It's like, so far I haven't really seen uh, reality in images. So us doing things, and the pornographic image gave a sense of uh, an understanding of what we really are in a in sort of an obtuse way. So I wanted to see those bodies uh, in all its ugliness, no? Because we didn't want to see. That's another thing, that we have a big problem with beauty, with what is beautiful, and this was an ugly image. It's like, it's just their ugliness, men, women, sweaty and everything. And that was fascinating for me, that ugliness, because I had never seen that ever growing up. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, it's like the bucket scene in Mysore Mandige. I don't know if I had seen, unless you
Yeah.
look at art house cinema, you don't see anyone bathing with a
Yeah.
mug and a bucket.
Yeah, you don't see the bucket.
That's not a porn film scene. You
Yeah.
see a shower
Yeah.
with fancy norms or something. You
Yeah.
don't see that. Yeah. But there's also the thing that Ashish says, in fact, in the film, that this person, that this woman has, there's all this, I don't know, maybe there's a difference between realist and realism, and what I'm referring to now is quote unquote real in a way. Maybe that's the difference there. But as in, I'm just asking this in a descriptive sense. Do all these other films as well show as much other details about people's lives? Like
Hmm.
Mysore Maliki has a lot of non-pornographic footage
They
as
do.
well.
There are quite a few films that do. There's one film where she's eating kurkure while while the sex is on. And there's a kurkure packet and she's munching on it. And there's many videos where the TV is playing, or there's some serial going on, or some music channel is going on, and the TV is blaring, and they're having sex while the TV is on. A lot of little details. Once a curtain falls down, and then they put it back again, and things like that. There's small things, but many of these films do have details, strange details. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's in the sense, okay, the way I've seen it, it's kind of, I mean, I get what you're saying about the lack of the image that you can relate to in a way. That
Hmm.
uh, that it's hard to find movies or hard to find places in which the Indian body is made to look good or made to look sexual. Let's forget like looking good.
Hmm.
It's just looking sexual
Hmm.
or looking or being desired in a certain way. Um, is it? I don't know. It's kind of. How does one contrast that to something like Savita Bhavi? Does that help in that process, or is that something that's solidifying a certain other kind of image? How do
No.
you understand that?
Ah. The Savita Bhavi case is interesting because it was only after Savita Bhavi was shut down that I got to know that it was in fact Indians who were living abroad who were doing this. I had no idea that it was being done by Indians who were living abroad. So they had all legal, you know, leeway to do whatever they wanted. So till then, I had thought that it's people sitting right here and doing it, so it would have been a very brave thing to do. But now, not so brave. uh, Savita Bhavi was interesting to me because of yeah, with this knowledge that they're from outside, and with their NRIs in a sense, that they were uh, showing a woman uh, of their fantasies, a fantasy woman, which we had only spoken about. There had been these things are there in jokes. The Barbie, your neighbor having sex with your neighbors, Barbie, and all that stuff. Barbie jokes. It's there in our psyche, especially in the north, but also in the south. Yeah. But it being represented in drawing, in comic form, was something new, because just drawing a pornographic act is very very different from filming a real sexual thing, a real sex act. So in pornography, that is the that's the first basic difference that I see. On the one hand, you have real bodies engaging sex and you film them, and on the other hand, there is the imagination where you write pornographic text describing, or you draw, uh, and the status of these two things are totally in two different realms. One is art, and one has to do with with absolute real. The real bodies are involved, real people are involved, and so there's a different type of law that should work there. Is in the say it's similar to the experience we had in Japan while filming this documentary on Doujinshi, where they tell us not to confuse the real child pornography, which is film where real children are involved, which is a category of sex crime, and drawings of children, drawings of kids having sex with adults, or whatever it is, drawings. So that should be not considered as a crime, as a matter of sex crime in terms of the law. So these two different worlds. So the same confusion has occurred over here in the Indian scene, and this confusion is a Western confusion, and it's a borrowed confusion. And the Japanese were always pointing fingers to this Western confusion. So so they were in effect saying that you Westerners don't confuse us. Now we have got our law very clear. So there is the drawn image or the written pornography, and then there is the filmed thing, the real people involved. So Savita Bhabi falls in this first category of art. You know, you could broadly put it as literature. It falls into the literary imagination, the field of imagination, and one cannot apply the same law to both. So, uh, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Um, sorry. There's I don't know, then just throwing up this reaction that about you were saying Mysore Malliga is somehow you put yourself into it, or you somehow, or it's mutating and there are different characters that are emerging out of it. It's and I'm just sharing this. I don't know if you may or may not strike a chord with you, but if one watches Mysore Malliga alone, or if one watches it far away from home, say a friend of mine watched it when he was in Amsterdam or somewhere where there were no friends around, and he said it felt like a horror film. Or maybe it was the night vision, the night shot thing or something. That it has a sense of loneliness or something that comes out of the experience of watching that film.
Boredom.
Or something, yeah. There's something there that makes it far more compelling than some maybe other material.
Right.
But also something that bleeds into everything else that's supposedly real. That is supposedly couples made this video and then it leaked, you know, through the videotape guy or online or some way like that. I don't know, I mean, is there anything else is there anything you want to share to me?
About how the video leaked.
No, about this whole reaction of
That particular film, White.
yeah, maybe, yeah. Or that feeling you get that
Of watching reality porn like this.
yeah, something. Yeah.
Uh,
I'm not sure what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Maybe what you mean is the kind of boredom and the kind of everydayness, the boredom of everydayness that is there in these kind of images. Because it's obviously not adorned with any other effects. It's not a fiction film, and it's not adorned. So you have that thing.
It's not about fear. I mean, there's the obvious fear. It could be me. It could be someone who's taking a video of me and putting it there. That's an obvious fear.
Yeah.
But there's some other fear that sort of
The horror of seeing seeing everyday stuff. Horror of reality. I don't know. For me, the reaction was not one of fear at all. I was excited, extremely excited by this new development. For me, it was a development. There was something new, and it put my thoughts and perception in context. It put everything in context. I could now use this film and use Mysore Mallige and look at the entire Hindi film industry or all the images that are shown on television, the news, or I could put this as the benchmark and compare everything else with this. It gave me a sudden focus that, okay, you filmed this and this is there, this is the real, it's right there in front of you, and we didn't know it. So for me, it was like a discovery of reality. I discovered reality, something like that. So all my fantasies were now, all my or any delusion that I might have had about myself or about us, about me living in a society, a particular society, and the cultural cliches that we deal with, all that was shattered in one go. so, so it was for me a very important event. That that is what made me want to look deeper into this film. It was a very important event for me, and I consider this film as a film. I give it that value, that it is a film among all the films made in India, like as any fiction film or anything, or any documentary. So I see this as a very important document. Uh, I give it a historical importance. Maybe a little, it might be a little too uh, overstretching the point, it, uh, but I think for me it does have that value. That it started off, it made us look at things differently, which was not there earlier. Because we don't have a history of seeing visual. It's another whole chapter, but just to say it in one line, it's in visual art, um, all the traditions are destroyed in India. I mean, that's the fact that we start from. Irrevocably, irretrievably destroyed. Uh, so, the Indian vision of art or painting or anything, images, it stops at the 6th century, and with the Ajanta and stuff like that, Buddhist painting, and then there's a huge void for about 1,000 years, and then suddenly in the 16th century you have the miniatures, and that's coming from outside. It's not Indian. Mughal miniatures is not Indian. It's Persian. So so it basically stops there, and then from the 6th to you jump to the 16th century, and then something new happens, and even that is destroyed when the British come in with their whole perspective and all new scientific techniques, which made these guys go really bonkers, and then we made some very strange art in the 19th and 20th centuries. So there is no so that the traditions are broken. So we have to do find a way of looking, which is from we have to start from scratch. And my growing up was trying to do that. I was trying to find start from scratch, uh, try to see, okay, what is this reality, to see it clearly.
I mean, it's completely off topic, but it's just, I mean, in one sense, how does realist cinema, so to speak, help in that? Whenever those brief periods happen.
But yeah, my theory and my opinion is that the realist cinema didn't really help, because it worked with another fantasy of what is real. Uh, in fact, the realist cinema was it was only the subject matter. So what they thought was, if you have subject matter that is uh, not that is something to do with contemporary issues or or topics like that, then that would make it real. But that is not so at all. So so okay, putting it in a different way, what the realist cinema did was introduce subject matter, which were not addressed by the Hindi mainstream commercial industry. So they introduced subjects, but what the devices that they were using to portray the subject was the same uh, technique that the mainstream or the Hindi film industry was using. There was no difference in the approach, in the technique of filming reality, of supposed reality. And so what it resulted in is just a variation in style. So I would just see the realist, so-called realist cinema, as a variation in style in within one cinema, Indian cinema. It is just a different style, but I didn't see any reality in it. The material that people are putting up on the internet is instantly accessible. So it's only speeded up the number of viewers of such material, millions now, and the websites are proliferating, and it's I think it has also encouraged people to make more images like that of themselves, and also upload, as a kind of, you see some image and then you want to give it back. So it's a sort of a response. In fact, it's very strange, this Debonair blog, they have a little contest, and this is there in a lot of websites, amateur video websites, foreign websites also, that you write Debonair blog in some way on your naked body, or have some nude picture or something, sexual picture, and debonairblog.com should come somewhere in the picture. And so people come up with this innovative sort of or creative supposed creative methods of putting their name, writing them on their butt or something while having sex, or showing them in a mirror, in a paper and thing. So that people posting pictures like that. So so the website has also they're encouraging very consciously, they're encouraging people to film themselves or take pictures of themselves, sexual pictures of themselves, and upload them. So that direct contact, that the loop has become very faster. It's not just a passive consumer. The internet forces you to be active and respond quickly to what you're seeing in comments or posting pictures also. I think that is the difference. Yeah.
But to pose the hard question, or to pose the question that say a radical feminist might ask, do you think that there are women who are not being asked when these videos are being put up?
Of course, of course.
And how does one respond to that? Is that a question that is maybe, I mean, it's a harsh thing to say. Let's say I say it's not relevant to my pleasure, but maybe that's all. But how does one deal with that question? How do you try to address it? Because I feel sometimes that it becomes so polarized. Like people who are pro, so say, to put it broadly, pro pleasure. Okay, we are kind of so defensive, or or so pushed into a corner that there are times when even when well-meaning questions are asked, like what if someone's privacy is being violated?
Right.
We actually, as in sometimes we're not in when we don't want to listen to that question.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it's like, no, then if we listen to that question, then we have to listen to child pornographic drawings also being a problem, then we have to listen to laws, then we have to listen to obscenity legislation. So But if you say it was a well-meaning question,
Yeah,
let's say.
yeah. It's a perfectly valid question. Uh, there is something wrong there, and if you look at the amateur video, most of the amateur videos that are being made, it's the woman that is exposed more, and in most cases it's filmed by men. It's the male filming of the female he's having sex with, or being, or or there's a third person maybe. A few videos have third, but it's mostly two. And what I saw in, after watching tons of these kind of videos, uh, the woman in question is uh, knows very well she's being filmed, and even performs for the camera, right? So it's clear that she's performing. There's in so many videos you see the woman looking directly into the camera and doing it for the camera, and so is the guy. And so you see, there is a, in that situation there is a mutual consent to being filmed, even though the camera might, that there are instances, there are many instances also where the camera is passes on to the girl and she's filming the guy. Okay, there are films like that. Of course, majority of them, the camera is with the guy, and it is definitely not, or the videos I've seen, I've not seen a rape being filmed, which is very possible, which is the next step, in fact, which is what maybe a viewer might want to see. And there have been videos like that, in fact. There have been videos I have not seen, but it's there. There have been videos where rape has been filmed, and yeah, so there it is. The line is there. The line is drawn, in fact. So you could make the case um, that mm, yeah, first of all, it's illegal. All the it's illegal, the law, according to the law, and whether the woman is being oppressed or not, then becomes a question of what is there in the video. But the funny thing about the law, when such a question comes up, is the evidence of the video itself. But you can always say that that person is not me, which is the common argument that we listen to when any video comes up as evidence, and if it's incriminating for some person, and the person can claim that it's not me. Uh, so there is a sense of disbelief of of the reality that is being shown, which is the question that the law, I think, has to address, of of how can a video or an image be used as evidence, because every now and then there is a thing that, okay, this is not me, so it's somebody else. So how do you address that? I think that is the main question, because then if you address that, then you can make a distinction by watching the content, whether the woman has consented and or not. If you consider that as reality, that is no, it's a thin line, but what is real in an image, maybe the law has to has to encompass that question of what is real in an image. When it comes to images like this, so the next step, as I said, you film a rape, and the next step after that, you might even film death actually happening, and that is there, and you have videos like that on the net. So it's the logic taken to its extreme. uh, where there are plenty of jihadi videos on the net which you can easily watch, actual live footage of people being killed. It's the extreme of an image. It's You cannot have an image more extreme than that, or more or the edge of reality, you could say. uh,
Or the torture images that leaked from Guantanamo Bay, or
yeah,
anything
that's
that's called war porn, so to speak.
yeah,
Seems
the war porn. Yeah, any pornographic image is something. Basically, the definition of a pornographic image, it's an image that is not supposed to be seen but is seen. So it can be any image, but that not supposed to be is the uh, is either the morally not supposed to be, or socially, politically not supposed to be. It can be any image that is taboo, any taboo. So, of course, killing is the ultimate taboo, and that is pornography, obviously. So, uh, now the lines, you can see the gradation. What's You film one thing and it leads to that. So, but that doesn't mean that one shouldn't film anything, obviously. So there are so one has to believe in the content of the image, or you have to give it the um, status of reality. If you don't believe in the image, if you say that's not real, then the entire argument just breaks down. so that so that's the starting point of what you state as real.